Hey everybody, this is going to be the introduction for your Grammar Composition 2. It's Unit 7, pages, this would be 156 and 157. We're going to go through the concepts really quickly, and I'll give you an example of the first exercise or the first question in each exercise, and then you'll get a chance to work on it yourself. Okay, so let me show you what the page looks like, and we'll go over the concepts real quick. This is page 156 in your grammar book. Using correct case, special problems. Particularly, we want to talk about whom, whoever, and whoever. Now, if you recall, whenever we looked at our pronoun chart, or we made our list of nominative and objective case pronouns, the list looks like this. You have nominative case, which is I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they, and then who, whoever. So, who and whoever, in our worksheet today, in our pages today, we're discussing the difference between who, whoever, and whom and whoever. So the nominative case words are who and whoever. Then we've got objective case. Me, you, him, her, it, us, you, them, whom, and whomever. So who and whoever is nominative case. Whom and whomever is objective case. All right? So let's read what the page says. The words who, whoever, whom, and whoever are often used in dependent clauses. Remember, a dependent clause is a clause that can't stand alone. It has to be tied to an independent clause of some kind. Although these pronouns can appear troublesome, they actually follow a really easy pattern to determine whether the pronoun is going to be whoever or whom or whomever. To determine the correct case of a pronoun, you must first determine the pronoun's use in its own clause. How is it being used in its own clause? The function of the pronoun within its dependent clause determines which case, either nominative or objective case, that the pronoun should be. Essentially, you got to find out if that pronoun is being used as a subject, predicate nominative, or is it being used as a direct object, indirect object, or object of preposition? Okay, so if it's a subject or predicate nominative, then it would be nominative case. Subjects, this would be for subject or predicate nominative. All right. Objective case would be direct object, indirect object, or object of preposition. And it makes sense because the word object is in it. Yeah. Nominative is in predicate nominative, and then a subject, just you have to learn, is nominative case. Okay, so to determine the correct use of a pronoun, you must first determine the pronoun's use in its own clause. We did that. The function of the pronoun within its dependent clause determines which case that the pronoun should be. Select who or whoever if the pronoun functions as a subject or a predicate nominative. Select whom or whomever if the pronoun is used as a direct object or an object of a preposition. Okay. Incidentally, it would also be, although they're kind of clunky the way that you might use them, but an indirect object as well. She threw whomever the ball. It wouldn't be whoever the ball, whomever the ball. That's unusual. So they don't even mention it here, but it's still objective case. All right. Okay, well then let's look at the first examples here. Use the following procedure to select the correct pronoun. Identify the dependent clause in which the pronoun is located and put brackets around it. Okay, so you're looking for the clause. That's the big thing. It's the dependent clause though, so it can't stand alone. So don't put it around the sentence or the independent part. Analyze the dependent clause to determine the function of the pronoun. Okay, so that's your 2 steps there. And then they've broken analyzation of the clause down into these 4 things. Locate the verb, locate the subject, locate the complement, locate any prepositional phrases. And then you'll know how your pronoun is being used. Okay? Use the same procedure for analyzing interrogative sentences. Do not be misled by interrupting words such as, do you think or did he say? Disregard these words when trying to determine the correct case. They do not affect the case of the pronoun. Okay, let's look at the first example. They gave us the answers here. Who or whom received the most points? Well, they've determined that first, so they first want you to locate the verb. Well, the verb was received. Then they want you to locate the subject. The subject is who or whom. Well, since the word is being used as a subject, we know it has to be nominative case. And so you choose either who or whoever. So it's who. Okay, that makes sense? Pretty simple. Look at the next one. First, find the verb. Will be elected. That's an action verb. Okay. The next is find the subject. Well, either who is the subject, and they said to get rid of who you think or ignore that. It doesn't affect it. So who will be elected president? Who is the subject? It should be nominative case because subjects are nominative case and who is a nominative case pronoun. All right. For incomplete or elliptical clauses beginning with than or as, use the pronoun that you would use if the clause were completed with the same verb as the independent clause. Okay, so this word elliptical, I don't want to gloss over it. An elliptical clause, let me stop this for a second. Okay, an elliptical clause is a clause that is unfinished, incomplete. Let's see, what would be an example? They've given us an example here. Let's look at it. Oh, okay, yeah, so you can skate as well as either she or her. Well, it would be you can skate as well as she can skate. That would be the complete clause. But they've cut off the can skate because it's repeated, and that makes it elliptical. Okay, elliptical means that some portion of it is left off or cut out. This would it is going to be a nominative case because she can skate. She would be the subject in that elliptical clause. Does that make sense? Because she can skate. She is the subject. Can skate is the action verb with the helper can. So they're just trying to say that don't get confused by the fact that there's an elliptical clause at the end here, meaning there's some missing parts. If you put those missing parts in, only then can you know for sure that that should have been treated as a subject. She can skate. You can skate. She can skate. Okay? So that's just an example. It says, note, the verb of the dependent clause may not change voice from active to passive or passive to active. Do you remember what active and passive voice is? If the subject is doing the action, so let's see, John threw the ball. If the subject is doing the action, if the subject is throwing, then we call that active. Now, if it's passive, if something other than the subject is doing the action. The passive version of this sentence would be, the ball was thrown by John. So what's the verb of this sentence? Well, it's was thrown. See, in the active version, threw is past tense, was thrown is past tense as well. What was thrown? Well, it was ball. So is ball doing the throwing? No. This prepositional phrase by John tells us who is doing the throwing. So if the prepositional phrase is doing the action, we can't call it active. It has to be passive. So when we talk about active and passive, it simply is the subject doing the action or not? Okay? All right, so again, let's read this note. The verb of the dependent clause may not change voice from active to passive or passive to active. It may change number from singular to plural or plural to singular, but the voice must remain the same. So voice, active, passive. If you've got an elliptical clause, which means, like in this case, this was, you can skate, she can skate. All right? You is doing the action of skate. That's active. You is the subject. So you can't say you can skate and the skating was done by her. No, that would mess everything up. That changes the voice. Therefore, it changes it from a nominative to objective case pronoun. It's all wrong. So make sure that if the first part of this is an active voice, then the second part stays an active voice. You can skate, she can skate. Okay? Let's look at this next one. The mosquitoes bother Jim as much as him. Now, is that elliptical? It is. The mosquitoes bother Jim as much as they bothered him. Okay? Or as much as he was bothered. That's incorrect. It's a change of voice. Mosquitoes did the bothering, so you can't switch it. The mosquitoes bothered Jim as much as the mosquitoes bothered him. Just like that. Does that make sense? Mosquitoes is the subject, bothered is the verb. Mosquitoes is the subject, bothered is the verb. Jim and him are in the same place. That means that the voice did not change, which is appropriate. All right. So we're going to do the first of each of these exercises, and your homework is going to be to do all of those exercises, A and B, okay? So let's look at the first one. It says put brackets around the dependent clause and around each interrogative sentence in which pronoun who, whoever, whom, whoever is located. Okay, so let's look at the first one. Who or whom did he say was speaking at the political rally? Well, if you recall, they warned us not to get tripped up by, let's see, where is it? Did he say, or do you think? Yeah, okay. Do you think? Don't get tripped up by that. Or did he say? You ignore them. Disregard these words when trying to determine the correct case, okay? So let's actually mark them out just like they told us to. Now put a bracket either around the dependent clause and around an interrogative sentence in which the pronoun who, whom, whoever is located. So this is an interrogative sentence, so we're going to put brackets around that. Let me check to make sure I'm doing this right. Yeah, I am. Okay. Now, so that's the first step. Then it says locate the verb. What's the verb of this sentence? It's was speaking. See that? That's the verb. I'm going to put this here. After you locate the verb, you locate the subject, then locate the complement, and then the prepositional phrases. All right. Well, we're going to end up stopping here because the subject is who was speaking. That's active. Okay. So who or whom is the subject? Now let's decide which of them can be subjects. Well, nominative case can be subjects. Objective case can't be. Who or whom? Who is a nominative case. Whom is objective case. So who can be a subject? That means that we need to cross out whom. Who is the correct answer? That's the part 2. Determine how the pronoun functions within its clause and write its function in the blank. This is going to be subject. And then cross out the incorrect pronoun in the parentheses. So we did it kind of backwards, those last two. So the first thing you do is put brackets either around the interrogative sentence or around the dependent clause that it's in. And then the second step is to determine how it functions. Now, the instructions on the prior page told us to also find the verb first, which you have to find out how it functions. But anyway, so determine how it functions and write that in the blank. Well, this is the subject, and then cross out the incorrect pronoun. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's do one that's not an interrogative sentence. Now, interrogative means a question, right? So the next one's not a question. So we'll go ahead and do an example of one that's not an interrogative sentence. Put brackets around the dependent clause that the who or whom is in. The teacher to whom the award was given teaches 3rd grade. All right? Well, there is a clause, a dependent clause, to whom the award was given. Okay? So the subject of the sentence is teacher. The verb of the sentence is teaches. You would agree with that? But we're supposed to find the how this word functions, how who or whom functions in its clause. Okay? Well, the award was given is the we'll see, was given is the verb. Award is what was given, so that's the subject. Inside the context of this clause, that's the subject, that's the verb. So this is not it. Well, then what is to? To whom? Well, that would be a preposition, wouldn't it? So if this is a prepositional phrase, then this word must be an object of a prepositional phrase. So in the blank, I'm going to write OP, right? And then I have to figure out which one of these is correct. Well, objects of prepositions must be objective case. I know that because we determined that earlier. Objects of prepositions are objective case. So which one of those, either who or whom, is objective case? Well, who is nominative, whom is objective. So I have to cross out who, and that's the answer to that one. Okay, let's look at exercise B. Cross out each incorrect pronoun, who, whoever, whom, whomever, and write the correct form above it, and put C for every correct sentence. So we're looking at either who or whoever, and we're crossing it out and putting the correct form above it, or put C if it's already the right thing. So let's find it in the sentence. Where is it? Who, whoever. If your lips would keep from slips, 5 things observe with care, to who you speak. All right, so that's the word we're concerned with, to who you speak. How is that being used in this sentence? Well, in this clause, I'll go ahead and do the same thing just that we did in the last exercise, just to make it clear. This is a dependent clause, isn't it? To you and speak, that's a clause is a group of words that has a subject and a verb. And this is going to mess us up here because normally we underline subjects and double underline verbs. So I'll scratch that out for now. The subject is you, the verb is speak. That's an action verb. To who? Well, that would be a preposition, wouldn't it? But in this case, a preposition, if it's an object of preposition, it should be objective case. Whom is the correct word. So this is wrong, and we need to write whom above it. I shouldn't have written prep there, but I was trying to explain it. So you cross out who and put whom above it. Now you got another one here. Of who you speak and how, when, and where. Of who you speak. Well, same thing. There's our bracketed dependent clause. There's a subject verb. That's a preposition. This must be an object of preposition. If it's an object of preposition, just like here, it can't be who, it has to be whom, because object of prepositions have to be objective case, and whom is objective case pronoun. So we're going to cross out who, put whom. Okay, hopefully that's hopefully that makes sense. You do this work, you turn it in, and then next week we'll come around and correct this, okay? All right, thank you for your time. I hope you're having a good time. Love you much. See you next time.